Well, hello, paradigm shifters. Yes, it's Transformation Tuesday. Yes, one more time. April edition, where our topic is spring into action. And yes, this is the week before Easter. And so we are so blessed to knowing that Paradigm Shifters is a growing global community dedicated to shift and uplift the entire planet. How's that for a big intention?
I love it.
Why not, right? So far, as of this morning, we are 1,396 members strong from 30 countries. How's that for you? And so this is a global movement and it's a global shifting and uplifting. And I am so pleased to have as our guest speaker my friend and colleague and my Lauren Broiler Newton. And I first met Lauren. Oh my gosh. I first met Lauren in Los Angeles. Remember that?
I do.
And one thing that I was just riveted because you at the time were a public school counselor. And, we have that same background, that same passion. And I remember our conversation about when the new year comes and we would buy all those markers. Remember?
Yes.
And all the smelly ones. And so from then, you've grown and grown and grown. And I remember you teasing me, or we would be teasing about being old hippie stuff, what we're doing. And I'm so pleased that you've turned into a young hippie. So let me tell you a little bit about my buddy and cohort colleague, Lauren Broiler Newton, and she's passionate about helping you discover you are so much far more powerful than you've ever known yourself to be. Amen. Now, Lauren loves breaking down spiritual and success principles so they're easy to apply. How's that for you? And Lauren's a founder and CEO of Soul Savvy, and she's been privileged to help thousands and thousands of people live the life they love. So, with that, I'm going to turn this over to you, Lauren, and everybody take notes. There is always an aha moment in here. So, Lauren, here you go. It's all yours. Thank you for being here.
Perfect. So I'm going to do something here that I think is going to help with the recording because I'm going to share a PowerPoint. So can you see me big now? Nod your head if you can see me big. Okay, good. Okay. So first of all, I want to say, Judy, what you have created in this community is absolutely phenomenal. This is just such a wonderful place for so many seekers and coaches and people to come together and get really great to hear from each other and get great new concepts explained in different ways. It's so powerful, Judy. So thank you for creating this community. And it's a pleasure to be here today because, as most of you know, because many of you are coaches, when you're coaching and teaching this work, oftentimes you're starting from the vision. Of course, that's the most important thing. But today I get to zoom into something way more micro because all of you are such deep students of this work already. So when Judy and I were talking about me coming on and doing some work together here, she mentioned that this was her Spring into Action month. And I thought, well, that's perfect because in my year-long masterclass that I do with my clients, this is the month that I call Mastering Bold Action. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you in, I'm going to micro focus us into what I teach in week 3 of my masterclass. Now, I know some of you are on here are in my masterclass, so you're getting a little sneak peek of what's coming, not this week, but next week. But Judy introduced me, so I don't need to introduce myself, but I am the founder and CEO of a company called Soul Savvy. So one of my favorite concepts to teach when it comes to taking action is to really understand the 2 P's. And I'm going to reveal what those 2 P's are for you in a minute. But we have, as you know, our higher self, our spiritual self, the part of us that wants to grow. And then we have our patterns. And sometimes you'll hear Mary refer to it as the big me and the little me. And the question is, how do I get the big me to win? Because taking action can be a little scary. So Mary says it this way: the first currency of the universe is idea. I think sometimes, especially when we're newer in this work, we think that we're going to vision, at least this is what I thought. I'll just tell you what I thought. I'm going to vision and things are just going to show up for me. And they do, and they will. People will call you out of the blue, things will happen. But most often, the first way that the universe responds to you being on the frequency of your vision is idea. You get an idea. You're doing your vision, and then all throughout the day, the universe is whispering ideas to you. And then it's your job to move that idea into the physical. Recently, I decided I was going to take my clients and move my 1 full day vision workshop into a 2 full day vision workshop. And I kept getting that idea from the universe, and I kept looking back and going, I don't like that idea. It's going to cost so much money. What am I going to teach? And how are we going to do that? And oh my gosh, COVID, we're going to have to stream it. But ultimately, the universe is always whispering us the next great idea. And so Wallace Wattles would say it this way in Science of Getting Rich: by thought, the thing you want is brought to you. It's by action that you receive it. So the universe sends me this great idea. Lauren, you've been asking to serve your clients better. You've been asking for more impact. Have a 2-day vision workshop. I have to now take action to receive that vision in full form. I cannot manifest a hotel conference room and the AV team and all those things without picking up the phone and taking some action, without asking for support. So by thought, you will get every idea that you need to move your vision forward, but it's action that's going to cause you to actually receive the full embodied, beautiful vision that you're desiring. So let's talk about the 2 P's that kill dreams. I know that's a strong word, the word kill, but really I want to really help you to understand how these 2 things, if you let them fester, will grow like a bacteria. Perfectionism and procrastination. These 2 things alone will keep you running in loops that will just keep the same patterns playing themselves out over and over again. So let's talk first about perfectionism. And I'm going to be very rigorous with all of us, including myself. Nod your head if it's okay for me to be rigorous today. Okay. I got my boots on. I'm going to do a little bit of a butt kicking. Just kidding. I have my slippers on, so it won't hurt that much. So perfectionism. Sometimes, especially I think in Western culture, we wear these 2 words, perfectionist and procrastinator, a little bit like a badge of honor. You hear it all the time. I hear people say, oh, I'm such a perfectionist. Such a perfectionist, or, oh, I'm a total procrastinator. And we keep saying these things that we don't want to be, because they're wiring and firing the parts in us that are keeping us stuck. Now, perfectionism and procrastination have meanings. And if you knew the real meaning of what a perfectionist is, you would stop saying it. So here it is. I'm going to reveal the real meaning. Perfectionism is a flowery way of saying, I give up. I am insecure and fearful. I give up. I'm insecure and fearful. Why am I saying the give up part? Because there is not going to be a perfection in a universe that's wired for growth. So if I'm trying to wait till the book is perfect, till the PowerPoint is perfect, till my speech is perfect, what I'm really doing is just giving up, because I'm not going to reach that without messing up sometimes. And the insecure and fearful part is, if I put out something that's not perfect, somebody will think something about me, or I might feel bad about myself. Now, if every time you said I'm a perfectionist, you had to say, I give up, I'm insecure and fearful, you wouldn't wear it in an honorable way anymore. And I know that we don't consciously think of it as honorable, but there is part of us that somehow likes to celebrate these things. So stop saying I'm a perfectionist unless you love that pattern and it's serving you, right? So let's talk about, I was thinking about today, sometimes when newer coaches ask me questions about all the technology we use at Soul Savvy and all that stuff, the first thing I say is that we didn't do that in the beginning. You're looking at a 5-year business. It didn't look like this on day one. So with perfectionism, sometimes what happens is you're looking at somebody's later stage in the game and you're trying to make your current stage look like that stage. And I was thinking today, gosh, if like one of the things that I know sometimes we get caught up on are our PowerPoints or our flyers for our vision workshop or the exact right language for a Facebook post. But really the most important thing is the energy that you're putting on. So this morning, as I was getting ready and I was practicing this presentation out loud in my bathroom, I was thinking to myself, if I have the energy inside of me of, I've got so much to share, I have so much to give, the world needs to know this stuff, I could take one screen with one sentence on it as my PowerPoint and deliver a fantastic presentation because my energy is saying people need to know this stuff. So we'll start there. Many of you have heard of this before because I know John Boggs has taught on it and some of the other people in our community have taught on it. This comes from the book Art and War, I believe is the name of the book. And this teacher, this university professor, takes his class and splits them in two. And he decides that, and they're all going to do a pottery experiment. And so there's group A and there's group B. Group A, he tells them, you get an A if you make the most pottery this year. And he measured it in pounds. So it was something like 50 pounds of pottery or something ridiculous. They are getting graded on quantity. They output the most pottery. Group B is you're going to get an A if you make the best, most beautiful piece of pottery. So they were being graded on quality. So all semester long, the group A is outputting all this pottery. Group B is doing research and perfecting and looking at exactly what they're going to do for this one best piece of pottery. And at the end of semester, the amazing thing that occurred was that the group that had the best piece of pottery did not come from the quality group. It came from the quantity group. So interesting. So here's the excerpt from the book, which I think is beautiful, from Art and Fear. It says, well, grading time came and a curious fact emerged. The works of highest quality were all produced by the group being graded for quantity. It seems that while the quantity group was busily churning out piles of work and learning from their mistakes, the quality group had sat theorizing about perfection and in the end had little more to show for their efforts than grandiose theories and a pile of dead clay. Powerful, huh, Judy?
Yeah.
We've all done that to ourselves at some point in our life when we sat so carefully trying to do it just right. And we had the knowledge, but it didn't turn into anything. So we can see that perfectionism is not helpful because the best piece actually came from the group who was just churning it out. So tool number one, I'm big on tools. If like Mary always teaches us, if inspiration without some form of action is just entertainment. So tool number one for today, massive imperfect action. Take massive action, knowing that the quality is only going to come from the act of doing. I can't tell you, I said this on one of my Q&A calls the other day about goals. I have probably failed 90% of the time at reaching my goals since I became a coach, maybe even 95% of the time. I set lofty goals, I go about, I do, and sometimes they work, and most of the times they don't. But I can tell you that this quality coming from the act of doing is 100% my experience. We just keep doing it. We just keep putting it out there. And a lot of the times it doesn't go the way we plan. But lots of the times though, it's like, you ever heard that expression? It's kind of corny, but they say, shoot for the moon. And if you don't reach it, at least you'll land among the stars. I think that's very true. So perfectionism part 2 here. The other thing that I have found is that oftentimes a person who has tended toward perfectionism up until now will feel like they don't have enough time. It'll be very challenging and rigorous for them to do the things that they want to do. Now we can see on one part, if I'm spending 8 hours making a PowerPoint perfect, we can see why I don't have enough time. But I've also seen that the perfectionist that has tended toward that up until now oftentimes takes care of other people very much as well. I've seen that pattern play out, that there also tend to be the personality of the person who wants to help, which is not a bad thing. But what can happen is that we then feel like there's no time to do this vision. There's no time to practice my workshop or whatever it is. So I'm going to give you another rigorous image here. I love this image so much. It says, but I don't have enough time. And there's a chart and it says, in a week, there are 168 hours. You will spend 56 hours sleeping if you sleep 8 hours a night. Eating, showering, traveling will be 35 hours, about 5 hours a day. Working, if you're working 40 hours a week, will be 40 hours. And then look in red, they write enough time. You still have 37 hours left over with all that eating, traveling, showering, working, and sleeping. So for the person up until now who has tended toward the perfectionist, it's to take that 37 hours if you're working a full-time job also, and decide, I have plenty of time to live my dreams. Plenty, more than enough. All right. The other thing I'll say is that I've discovered that with perfectionism, you're gonna want to change it later anyway. This PowerPoint or this flyer that looked so perfect to you, 5 years from now, 5 months from now, you'll look at it and go, what was I thinking? So because we grow. My favorite story to illustrate this is that John Maxwell wrote a New York Times bestseller. It's called 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. If you Google leadership books, this one will probably land in the top 10. And I had the privilege of seeing him speak, and he was very vulnerable. He said, I think he wrote the book in 1997. In 2007, they asked him to write a 10th anniversary edition, a couple footnotes, a new introduction. John Maxwell said, I went back and I read my own book, and he said, I wanted to change 90% of it. And this is a New York Times bestseller. Why? Because he's grown, because he's evolved, because he's helped more people. And so now he has a new take. So it's nothing in this universe is static. It's either growing or dying. So what I like to say is 80% good is good enough. That's my motto. I love it, Judy. It's if this sales page or this webinar registration or this PowerPoint looks 80% good, I'm good with it. Yeah. And the reason I'm good with it is because my 80%, if somebody else is they're looking at it like it's 100% because I'm more hard on myself, right? So if I think it's 80% good, the world is going to think it looks great. So that's my rule. 80% good. You like that one, huh, Judy?
I just want to just put a plug in here that I'm looking at people like there's many people who are not coaches who are like going, oh, you mean I don't have to be perfect for that relationship that's coming in? No. Right. Or what if I go and get this home and it's not the right one? So yeah, this is really good news. This is awesome. So keep going. Yeah. I didn't mean to interrupt, but I'm just
great. I'm so glad you said that, Judy, because many of you are not coaches, or maybe you're not owning your own business or something like that. And the perfectionism comes from the way you work with your family, or the way you look, or the way that you do something within the job that you're in. And this all applies to all quadrants of our life, including health. Because sometimes when we're in our health quadrant and we're moving forward, we shame ourselves or blame ourselves if we didn't do the 100% right eating or work out 7 days a week or whatever the thing is. So, it really came from my grandpa, who was just such a wonderful man. And he was my best friend. And he passed away in 2007. And he would always say, live by the 80-20 rule. If you're on track 80% of the time, then do whatever you want the other 20%. And I always appreciated that, because 80% is still a really high number, but that 20% gives us the flexibility to be gentle with ourselves. So, you can always do more, but it's not a reason not to start, is what I meant to write there. So you see my PowerPoint's 80% good. Oh, there we go. I did put the word start. It was on a different clicker. All right. So this photo I love. This comes from this guy down at the bottom. I don't know how to pronounce that, Henrique, but I learned this from John Boggs in a training that we did. If you notice in the upper level, the person is waiting to build the car. I've got the tires, I've got to build the body, and I can't really move until the whole car is built. But if we look at the bottom picture, you start with a skateboard, because now at least I'm moving forward. It might not be the Tesla or the Lamborghini or whatever it is that you would love, but every step of the game, I'm moving forward. And that's what we're looking for. So you can just ask yourself, if you're working on your vision or your goals, if you just pause and ask yourself, is this moving me in the direction, or am I trying to build the car? That's a good gauge as to whether the action that you're taking is something that's moving you, or something where you're getting a little stuck in the minutia of it. So a lot of times I get asked the question, I think this is a good one, what you just talked about, Judy, is let's say you have a dream of like a 5-bedroom dream home with a pool on the ocean. And you have found a home that's not all that, but it's closer. It moves me out of this house and into one that I might not have a pool, but I have this beautiful garden and I have something that's, closer to my vision. Sometimes people hold themselves back because it's not the car or it's not the dream house. But the truth is, it's a step in that direction. It's a beautiful expression of your vision. So I think that is what this chart is representing for us. All right, I'm going to skip that because I said it. Number 2, so that's perfectionism. The second is this thing called procrastination. And I hope that this one rearranges your DNA, because I know the first time I heard this tool, my whole insides went, got all moved around. So procrastination is what are we really saying when we say, I am a procrastinator? What we're really saying, it's just a flowery way of saying, my vision doesn't matter enough for me to make change.
Ooh.
And I know that's not true about any of us on this call. So we're going to take away this word procrastinate, and we're going to let our vision matter to us more than the pattern that we've been holding. Because I know if when we say, oh, I procrastinate, if I had to say my vision doesn't matter to me, it makes me almost cry saying those words. We wouldn't say it anymore. And we'd have a willingness to change that pattern. So if you don't love being a procrastinator up until now, let's stop saying those words unless we're in love with that pattern. All right, so this is what I love that rearranged my DNA. Why does waiting until the last minute feel stressful, but it feels so good at the same time? You ever notice? It kind of feels good, like you've got something pumping inside of you, like, okay, I got to get this done, and you're rushing around. It feels kind of good. So many of us think that procrastination is just who we are. It's just part of who I am. It just feels good to wait till the last minute, or I'm more productive when I'm up against the clock. But there's a reason for that. And it's called adrenaline. When you have a deadline, your body produces, the official name for adrenaline is epinephrine. And when you wait till the last minute, or you wait for the last night before your presentation, or you wait to make the call to book your vacation till that last day it's available, or whatever it is, your body starts producing this drug called epinephrine. And that adrenaline that's pumping through you gives you that rushing kind of feeling of energy to get it done. This should be such great news to you, because it's not you with a capital Y that's a procrastinator. It's a physiologic response to the decisions you're making that makes it feel easier when you wait till the last minute, because now you've got this adrenaline pumping. But there's a healthier way to do it, because adrenaline and epinephrine, it's not that good for your body. It's very, I don't want to be alarmist and say it's harmful, but it's not the best thing that you want pumping through your body. But you no longer have to identify that it's just you that feels good waiting till the last minute. It's just a biologic response, just a response to a behavior. All of us have it, and we can undo it. So here's the next tool. This might be tool number 3. I lost count of my tools. You want to teach your body to adapt to not having to have the adrenaline.
Mm.
That is so powerful, and you will be so productive. And I don't mean productive like corporate America, get your 40-hour work weekend. I don't mean that kind of productive. I mean, you'll be left and right doing things that you love, that serve your vision, and you won't need anything pumping through you other than the good stuff, which I'm going to tell you about in a second, in order to take action. So I really want you to take this to heart. That things, there could be something you want to do a month from now, and you do what I'm about to teach you, you'll get that complete and you'll go, wow, this opened up so more room for other things I want to do in my vision, instead of thinking about it and waiting and putting it off. So this is what I say to myself. Of course, when I get to an action and I don't feel like doing it because there's no deadline and I'm not up against the clock, I say to myself, of course I don't feel like doing this now. I'm not producing adrenaline.
Oh, wow.
Of course I don't feel like it. Right, Judy? Yes, of course I don't feel like it. It's not like me and God deciding we don't feel like it. No, it's just that I don't have adrenaline. And I've got addicted to taking action when I've got adrenaline pumping.
Ooh.
So then I say to myself,
right now, everybody pick up your pens. Get yourself like that one right there. Adrenaline junkie right here. Wow.
Up until now.
No, up until now.
Yes.
I love that. I love that. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. So then the second thing I say, and when I say we, it sounds a little weird, but I'm saying to myself, the big me and the little me, we're going to do this now so that we establish a wonderful, healthy, new pathway that serves the vision. Because I think that sometimes when we don't feel like it, it's like we're waiting for the spirit to move us. And really, it's not that. It's that your adrenaline's not pumping. So sometimes I like to say this, and for those of you who've worked with me before, you might roll your eyes because you've heard me say this a million times, but I like to say, if I walk up to a light socket and I stick my fingers in it, I'm going to get electrocuted. No matter how beautiful of a vision, no matter how much God loves me, that's the way it works. It's just the way this system works. And you've got to work within the way it works. And it's the same with adrenaline. If I wait till the last minute, I'm going to get this wonderful coursing of drugs through my body called epinephrine. And if that's the only way I take action, I am addicted to it. And if I'm addicted to it, that means if I put something on my calendar for today, but it's not due for Saturday, I'm not going to feel like doing it. Not because the spirit, Lauren, doesn't want it, not because the vision doesn't matter, but because I've become addicted to having adrenaline pumping. So the first step is to say, of course I don't. Just paint the barn red. Of course I don't have to have, of course I don't feel like it. There's no adrenaline. But I believe I'm a person who can do this in a wonderful and more healthy way now. And then step 2, because now I'm going to help you produce a good feeling drug called dopamine. You visualize it done. How good is it going to feel when I've made that dating profile, or I've written that first page of my book, or I've called the person I've been meaning to call? How good is it going to feel to say to myself, I'm the person who's done that, and I'm checking that off, and I'm proud. Now you start to get just a little bit of dopamine, and that'll help you take the action in a more healthy way. Right? So powerful. This no longer rules us, this thing called adrenaline. All right. So part 2, and this is something that's not going to be new, but I just want to emphasize the importance of this. Why do I procrastinate? I should have put a big up until now in there. When deep in my heart, my vision matters. Anybody that's found their way to paradigm shifters, you have something that you want that matters to you. That you feel like you came here for some sort of purpose. Even if you're still discovering what that is, you can feel life in you wanting more, wanting to express. So if that's true, then darn it, why do I put stuff off that I know matters to me ultimately? Well, it's the subconscious patterning that we all have. And the flight plan is what your subconscious mind is on right now. Everything that you've done so far, everything that you've learned, every habit you've installed is working within the cybernetic system of the subconscious mind. And if you've never heard the subconscious mind described that way, the cybernetic system is basically you want to do something super outside of your comfort zone. And you start to get really bold, your subconscious mind is going to try to pull you back to the flight plan, everything that you've done so far. Again, this is not bigger than you. You can pause and tell it, no, we've got a new flight plan. But it's being conscious and aware of it. So why do we procrastinate when our vision matters to us? Because it just believes everything that we've done up until now is our flight plan. And if this new action is out of the flight plan, our subconscious mind's just like, are you sure? And our job is to say, yes, I'm sure. But the way that the subconscious mind does it, it doesn't come to you and say, hello, this is the cybernetic system of the subconscious mind. I'm just checking in with you here. It doesn't do it that way. It is going to try to get you back on track through distraction, delay, there's the procrastination, dissuasion, and what we sometimes call DEFCON. So just know, just like adrenaline, this isn't bigger than you. You actually have the control over this mechanism. But it's becoming aware, like, oh, I put something on my calendar. Am I going to do it? In that moment, that's when you pause yourself. Before you ignore, before you deviate, and you say, does this matter to me? Does this dream matter to me? And you just have what I would call a come to Jesus moment with yourself. Does it matter? And sometimes I think what throws us off, and I'll wrap up here, is that sometimes the little baby step, your mind is not connecting it with the full vision. You know, what you're sitting there doing your taxes and you're like, what does this have to do with my vision? Well, if I don't do my taxes, that's going to create some trouble for me, so that the vision is going to become more challenging to implement. So you always want to be bringing your mind back to how, and does this serve my vision? How does this serve it? All right, so let me say this. Final thought. We're always risking something. You're either going to be risking your comfort zone, or you're going to be risking your vision. You are risking. Yes, I agree. I'm not going to tell you that you won't fail, or that you won't sometimes be embarrassed, or you won't reach your goals. Yes, you could fail. Absolutely. You could look dumb. It could turn out painful. It feels uncomfortable. Yes. Someone could disagree with you. To take action, you are risking comfort. You're right. You're right about that. And the bigger risk, much bigger risk, living your whole life never knowing who you came here to be. Way bigger risk. So with that, I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and I'm going to turn it over to Judy for whatever it is that you would love to do next, Judy, for this.
Oh, this is, wow. First of all, wow. Yes. Wow. And thank you so much. And, you know, so many things that jumped out at me. I was taking notes about the adrenaline rush.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, like you hit a button that I've not really, I love adrenaline. and I love what you said about visualizing it done. And I love with my clients to, like, well, let's just do a vision for the day, or let's set the intention. And I just want to, there's so many gold nuggets here. So I just, I love it. I love it. I just took a lot of screenshots. So what I would love to do now, Lauren, in what we do before I end the recording, is to ask you, as a community of paradigm shifters, what we love to do is ask you, Lauren, what you would love us as a global community, what would you love to have us hold for you and your vision? Whatever quadrant at all. And
yes.
We're going to send you a blessing. Yes.
Thank you for that, Judy. That's so beautiful. So I know exactly what I would love for you to hold with me. And that is, I have a vision of helping 1 million people ignite the fire of their dream by my 40th birthday, which will be March 24th, 2027. So I have this dream to inspire 1 million people to ignite the dreams. And this year, what I'm focusing on is deeply helping 5,000 people through my different suite of programs. So I've got all sorts of different things I do with people, but if I could help 5,000 people to know that they can think a different thought, that there's more for them, that there's all this untapped potential, that would feel so good. So if you could hold for me that continue to be changed with 5,000 this year, I would love that.
Okay, here we go. Wow, 5,000 or more?
Or more.
All right, here we go, everybody. You ready? You ready to receive, Lauren? Get ready to receive. Here it comes. Shoosh. Got it?
I do.
Okay. Wow. Well, thank you so much from the bottom of our hearts for coming. And wow, dream big, dream bold, accomplish brilliantly, right? Thank you so much.
Thank you, Judy.
Yay. Amen.